It's now time, everybody, for an in-depth, deep dive. I'll call it a master class from the master himself, George Fraser. Many of you may know him as the founder of FraserNet, a global leadership network that connects 90,000 Black professionals, business owners, and community leaders throughout the nation. But he's also a world-renowned speaker, a best-selling author, a skilled entrepreneur, and master networker himself. And he's here to inspire and challenge you to elevate your relationship building skills in this fireside chat on leveraging relationships for success. To moderate this discussion and lead our panel today in this amazing discussion is Senior Vice President, Executive Editor, entrepreneur, my friend, my mentor, the most well-dressed man in the planet. Put your hands together for Black Enterprise's own Alfred Edmond Jr. I love you, Alfred. Love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
Love you.
Brothers, we are in for a treat this morning. The man you're about to hear from for the next 40 minutes or so is someone I've known for 30 years. The most influential expert on success I've ever known is the founder of Black Enterprise, Earl Graves Sr., who you guys learned a lot about on Legacy Awards night, and many of you know about him as the legend that he is. There are very few people that are in shouting range of Mr. Graves' influence. The person you're going to hear from tonight is one of those people. So before we bring him to the stage, let's go to the video. Brothers, sisters, kings recognize kings. So all you kings, stand up and welcome to the stage the one, the only, George Fraser. Love you. I love you. I love you. Have a seat here.
Where do you want me to sit?
Oh, no.
Over here.
Yes, sir. Woo! This is a moment I have been waiting for since you told us you could be here at Black Men Excel this year, and we've been planning this event and planning this conference. And I, we would go back.
Oh, yeah.
Again, 30 years, actually a little more than 30 years. And we could do 5 sessions on 5 different topics that you could lead on any number of topics. But just to kick it off, what would you like to start off by saying to this audience of hundreds of black men gathered together, committed to the success of themselves, the success of their families, the success of their communities? Obviously, many of them work in corporate America. Obviously, many of them are in business in one form or another. But one of the things that has always been inspiring about you, and I go back to your first book, Success Runs in Our Race. You have been just relentless in reminding us of who we are despite what the world often tells us that we are.
Yeah, that's a great question. To do the work that Mr. Graves has done, what many of us have done, you have to be delusional. You have to have a vision, and you have to ultimately recognize that whatever that vision is, it's not going to happen in 3 or 4 years. It's going to happen over a body of work over a long period of time. I've been talking about networking for 30 years. I've written the seminal text on networking. Success Runs in Our Race, the complete guide to effective networking in the black community. It is a modern day classic. It is required reading in 57 historically black colleges. It is a book that essentially started the networking conversation and ultimately started the networking movement. This is a manifestation of all of that. But what is so magnificent about Black Men Excel is it is the first conference that I've participated in that focused primarily on black men. Black men. And boy, do we need that. I mean, this is extraordinary. And Mr. Graves would be proud to see this audience and to see how you have executed this. This is a 5-star conference, make no mistake about it. And I speak at 100 conferences a year. So the first thing I want to say it emphatically. There is no success that you can attain, sustain, or maintain on your own, by yourself, in a vacuum. It is your understanding, and it has to be at your core, the power of the human connection. This is core. It is for anything that you do. So if it is at the foundation and at the core of anything that you do, get good at it. Get good at it. And we're going to talk about some mistakes that we make. In fact, that's essentially the essence of what I want to talk about today. Yes. And that's the 7 biggest mistakes we make when networking that will ruin your reputation and destroy your business. Okay? So thank you for having me on this.
We want to jump right into that, but one more thing, because you told me to make sure that I gave you kind of the space to mention it. You always talk about the importance and the role that Mr. Graves had. We brought onto the stage. You could show the cover of the Black Enterprise. Again, this is 30 years ago, guys.
That's 30. That's right. 1994.
Yep. And you always talk about, what. I mean, you're like the mentor's mentor. You're one of my mentors. I mentor a bunch of people, including many brothers that are in this room, but they're like your great grand mentees, if you will. But you always talk about that in those terms about Mr. Graves, in terms of what you were trying to accomplish yourself 35 years ago and what that meant to you.
Mr. Graves, we were both born in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, New York. Yes, I said Bed-Stuy.
Bed-Stuy.
Brooklyn, New York. And if you're born in Bed-Stuy, you're either a thug or a gangster. I'm a gangster. Mr. Graves was a gangster, believe me. He was a gangster, and I mean that in a loving way. And he was 10 years ahead of me. If he was living today, he would be 90, I'm 80. And running the streets of Brooklyn, I saw Mr. Graves. And I didn't know who this man was. He was always clean as a hotel chitlin, very handsome, incredible stature. He carried an attaché case, and I just admired him from afar. He was what let's call an arm's length mentor, but I didn't really get to meet him back in the day. And I always wanted to meet him. And it was always in my subconscious, how could I someday meet this great man and serve him? Fast forward 1986. A friend of mine, Carol Hoover from Cleveland, she was head of the Chamber of Commerce in Cleveland, called me and said, Black Enterprise is doing a series of networking events around the country, 7 of them. Cleveland is on the map. And his wife, Barbara, called her and asked if she knew of anyone that could lead up the Cleveland networking event for Black Enterprise, and she called me. And I said, I'd be more than happy to volunteer. If you want, I'll even chair it. And I did. So it was about a year before the actual event. Earl rolls in the day of the event, and he said to me, this is the largest attended and the best of all 7 that we've had. Congratulations. But he rolls up in there, this is Earl, with the governor of Ohio, Dick Celeste. I have a picture of that. And that was a way for me to add value and to serve him. So you don't meet great people like that. The way I say that, if you want to meet important people, you have to be where important people are, and then you have to add value. Don't meet them and then ask them for anything. Ask, how can you serve them? All I wanted was to touch the hem of his cloth and to, in some tangential way, be in his circle. So this was a prime opportunity to serve him with excellence. And he knew excellence. He dotted every I, crossed every T. And that started our relationship until he sadly passed. But he is probably one of the seminal mentors and ultimately sponsors of my life. When he put me on the cover of Black Enterprise magazine, when the book came out, Success Runs in Our Race, the trajectory of my life totally changed. But now remember, I did not serve him, Alfred, with the idea of someday I'm going to be on Black Enterprise cover. No, that was not the motivation at all. What I did for him was in 1986. The cover of Black Enterprise didn't happen until 1994.
Yes.
Right? So that wasn't even in my mind. What was in my mind, that this was a servant leader. I wanted to be a servant leader. How can I serve a leader? And then the rest is history.
Yeah, I want to just emphasize 2 points. One, this idea, because I mentor so many people and I love doing it, I get a lot of people say, will you be my mentor?
Yes, right.
And it's hard to explain that mentees are chosen more than they choose their mentors.
That's right.
And often the way they're chosen is the degree to which they think of, what can I do to add value to your life?
That's right.
Every one of us in here knows when the caller ID lights up on their phone, which calls they want to pick up and which calls they want to go to voicemail.
Yeah.
But the second thing, it connects the dots between Mr. Graves, you, and the story you just told, and this event, which is not called Black Men Excel by accident.
That's right.
Is that when people ask me, what does it mean to work at Black Enterprise? Now, in my case, almost 38 years. It's 3 words: excellence, no excuses.
That's right.
Yes, there's disadvantages. Yes, there are people arrayed against us. Yes, there are institutions arrayed against us. But Mr. Graves, like you said, when you walked in, he walked in, the expectation was excellence.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah. Well, one addition to that. For us, for Black people in this country, excellence is the base. That's the base. The goal is exceptionalism. That's the goal. But the base, we cannot be average. We must be amazing. And by the way, we are amazing. We are the most creative people on the planet. We really are. All right? When you look at from whence we came, and when we were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems, when other cultures are living in the Caucasus Mountains practicing cannibalism. Okay? So we're all that in a bag of chips. They tried to erase that from history and erase that from our memory. It's all coming out now. We are an awesome people. Black people are a cultural phenomenon. And the longer we continue to demonstrate that, and this is an excellent example of the excellence of black men, and you do the same thing with black women, this is an example of what is possible, right? What is possible for us. Look at where we are now. Keep doing this. There's we may take over the world. We almost missed it with Kamala. That's a whole nother story, right? It is very difficult to get a woman to become president of the United States. One of the few major countries in the world where a woman has been president, right? So, and a white woman couldn't even get it done. I mean, Hillary couldn't even get it done. In fact, white women didn't vote for Hillary, and white women really didn't vote for Kamala. So it's very, very, very difficult. But a change is going to come. That is going to happen one day. I hope she does not give up. All we saw in this election a week ago was an obstacle, and I'll talk about that later. It was an obstacle. My favorite quote outside of the Bible is a quote by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was one of the 5 great Caesars. He said this in 600 BC. He said that the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. Said another way, the obstacle is the way. Where there is no obstacle, there is no way. But we must have resilience. Don't give up. Don't give up. When God gives you an assignment, what is the first thing God does? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under that obstacle, to make mistakes, stumble, fall, and learn the lessons and apply those lessons to the next obstacle. So I'll say this quickly. Obstacles do not block the path. Obstacles are the path.
Yes. Yes.
I eat obstacles for breakfast. Tell me I can't do something. That inspires me. It inspired Mr. Graves. And that's why we're all sitting here.
So let me tell y'all what's going to happen now. Because this man, now, by the way, did you hear did he say how old he was? 79 going on 80.
Yeah, 80.
You turn 80 yet?
80. I'll be 80 in a few months. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Give him that. Now, I'm not going to talk about it here because we have a health is wealth session later on today.
That's right.
But you've been on my show Beyond the Hype.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we talked a lot about what it means to do your best work after the age of 50, but to live in a world where black men are.
I was going to save that as a close.
Passing away.
Absolutely.
In our peak earning years, and how that has to change if we're going to be serious about building wealth. But here's what we're going to do, brothers. First of all, let me remind you, we're going to have about 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A. And I do mean question, name, maybe the company you work for, period. Because the more questions we get in, the more answers we can get from Mr. Fraser. Okay, so I'm going to remind you of that again. But right now, what I want you to do, and I also want to make sure we talk about, before we run out of time, the Legacy Project. Because again, even you're not like slowing down, like, oh, I'm going to ease in. You're like, no, I got another idea. I got another thing I'm going to do. I got to push this forward.
That's right.
Even at what many would consider to be a later stage of your life, and I'm saying you're still peaking.
There you go.
But before that, let's go talk about what you said you want to talk about, the mistakes that that we make in networking that can destroy our businesses, destroy our lives, our careers.
Yeah, we've got about 35 minutes, and it's going to go really, really fast. So I'm going to go through this. This is a talk that I've been giving for years, the 7 biggest mistakes we make when networking that will ruin your reputation and destroy your business. So I'm going to give you a 30,000-foot view of it, okay? It's an executive summary of what is typically about a 45-minute talk. So I'm going to start with the 7th biggest mistake that we make. I've been out here 50-plus years. In 50 years, I've given out about 31,000 business cards. Now, I don't really give out business cards. I give them by request. You should not be giving out business cards. You give them by request. And people used to say to me, Dr. Fraser, aren't you afraid with all the people that get your information, because I have my cell phone and all my stuff, aren't you afraid that people are going to bug the shit out of you? No, not black people, not at all. Let me tell you why I'm not afraid. Because here's what I've learned in 50 freaking years. 99.999% of the brothers or sisters that request my card will never, ever, ever, ever follow up. Will never follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up. What did I do when I just glanced at Mr. Graves? I had a vision, I had a goal, I wanted to do some things to follow up, and that's what I did. And that relationships changed the trajectory of my life. Follow up. The fortune is in the follow up, brothers and sisters. Okay? Follow up. And there are sisters in here. I know it's a black right. So follow
similar
up.
to your example, people ask me, well, how do you find your mentees? I've had a rule since I got out of college that if I spoke to any college or high school group, I would give them my phone number, my personal phone number, and my email. Like you said, 1 out of 100 actually calls me.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's a huge mistake. So what's number 6? Number 6 is we make a poor first impression. I gave a little bit of lecture early on Wednesday about how to make a good impression, and that is your self-introduction. And nobody's interested in your life story. You've got about 15 to 20 seconds to keep people's attention and to give them just enough information to pique their curiosity so that they will want to know more about you later. There are 5 elements of a great introduction. So a homework assignment tonight is begin crafting your self-introduction for about 60 to 70 words. What are the 5 elements? Who you are, where you're from, and what you do. Now, if you don't know the answer to those 3 questions, we invite you to leave, okay? If you don't know who the hell you are, where you're from, and what you do, right, those are the first 3. The last 2 are the most important. How do you add real value? And if you add real value, quantify it and prove it to me. So let me give you my self-introduction. Hi, I'm Dr. George Fraser from Cleveland, Ohio, by way of Brooklyn, New York. I write books and speak on economic development and effective networking. I help people turn acquaintances into friends and contacts into contracts. And over the last 50 years, I've helped over 10,000 brothers and sisters secure more than $3.5 billion in new business. Good to meet you. Whoop, there it is. It's 20 seconds long. It's the story of 79 years of my life. That's about the attention span of the average person listening to your story.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Now, you just don't ad-lib it, don't improvise it. Script it, write it down in the privacy of your home or your office, and then practice it, practice it, practice it. Self-introduction is extraordinarily important to help make a good impression. Now, what is number 6?
5, sir.
I'm sorry, I said 6. That was 6. Number 5. Most of us do not spend enough time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships. There are 3 kinds of networks that you have to work on for every passage of your life. And if you're lucky, you'll get 8 passages. Each passage is about 10 years. Now, why is that important? Because you're a different person at 10 than you were at 1. You're a different person at 20 than 10, let us pray. You're a different person at 30 than 20, 40 than 30, 50 than 40, 60 than 50, 70 than 60, 80 than 70. You're constantly evolving and changing. The man that Nora Jean married 51 years ago is dead and gone. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. At 80, I'm not still acting like I'm 28, right? So there are 3 networks. First is your personal network. These are the people that know you, love you, cheer you on, lift you up, and hug you. Let's call that your network at home. The third is what I call an operational network. These are the people that help you to get specific tasks done in life. They platoon in and out of your life. You help them get something done, they help you get something done. All right? That's your operational network. And then the final network is what I call your strategic network. These are the people that are smarter than you. These are the people that are where you want to be. Earl Graves. These are the people that will drag you into the 21st century kicking, screaming, and crying. These are your mentors. Some will be your sponsors. There's a difference between mentorship and sponsorship. So work on those three networks. To work on them, first, I hope you took a note: personal, operational, and strategic. All right? So spend more time. We did a national study on the difference between black folk networking. This was 10 years ago. Gallup did the study for us, and white folks networking. And what it turned out is that white folks spend about 40% of their time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships. In the study, we spent less than 10% of our time, and 47% of the brothers and sisters who answered that question said that networking was not important at all. My degrees were more important than my network. I'll address that in a moment, okay? Now, so that's not, yeah, you don't spend enough time. Number 4.
They're paying attention. That's what
They're paying attention. There you go. When I talk to entrepreneurs, I say to them, if you don't have a system, you don't have a business. I don't know what the hell you have, but it's not a business, something that you can replicate, duplicate, and scale. Is it in writing? Is it a system? If something, God forbid, something should happen for you, you could pass that system on to whomever your successor is. Well, you have to have a system for networking. I have a system. There are 5 things I do every single day, come hell or high water. And I've been doing them 365 days a year for over 40 years. You can imagine the cumulative effect of that. Now, I would give you my system, but we don't have enough time for me to give you my system. If you want to know what my system is, I have it right here, right on the back here. We can talk about that. But it's a system. Develop your own system, but you should have a system that you follow every single day. All right? So that's number 3, right?
4.
That's number 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're at 3 now.
All right. Okay. Networking is powerfully important. God will invite all of us, each of you, there will be no exception to the rule, to the table of life to eat. But if the only thing you do when you come to the table of life to eat is to eat, and you don't bring anything to the table, you will not be invited back. And it'll go down real quiet. You just won't get any invitation. Somebody may be talking about something and said, well, let's invite so-and-so, and they said, no, they don't really bring anything to the table. What does that mean? It means that you must be committed to personal growth and development, lifelong learning, and constant, never-ending improvement. We must read, brothers and sisters, read. I read 100 books a year. Now, I travel a lot. I have a lot of airplane and airport time, so I'm able to read. I read the Sunday New York Times. Hell, reading the Sunday New York Times is like reading a book. It really is if you read the Sunday New York Times. So we've got to read, and you've got to know something, so that you can have an interesting and varied conversation, an engaging conversation, all right? So that was number 3. Now, number 2. As you get older and wiser, what you will ultimately find out is that your EQ, your emotional intelligence, will be more important than your IQ. Now, I'm not saying don't be smart. Yes, be smart. But how you comport yourself, and emotional intelligence is really the management of your 5 most important emotions. How you interact with people, how you address people, the empathy that you have, the listening skills that you have. So emotional intelligence is critical. There's a wonderful book I recommend to everybody, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. You can pick it up on Amazon. It's the best book, little book. Buy that book. There's a test you take at the beginning of the book online. It measures your emotional intelligence just as you can measure your IQ, your EQ and your IQ. All right, and then read that book a couple of times. Do the little exercises in it, and it will shed tremendous light on how to comport yourself, how to engage, how to interact appropriately when you're out and meeting people. So your EQ is more important than your IQ. And I'm not saying that means to be stupid. No, no. You just want to exercise these God-given skills in how you meet and greet people. And having a sense of humor, by the way, is critically important. Do not take yourself too serious. In fact, I told a joke last night. I don't know if you were in the room when I told the joke about prostate.
I heard about it.
All right. And the reason we are reluctant to get prostate exams, the men are reluctant to get prostate. I won't tell the joke now, but you got to. In fact, the comedian who was moderating the panel said that is a mic drop moment when I told him, and it was. So that is number two. So now, what is the biggest mistake that we make when networking? Most of us network to get something. Wrong. You network to give, and as you give, you get. You ain't giving, you ain't getting. If you have nothing, it's because you've given nothing. That you cannot take out of life, that which you have not put into life, just as you cannot take out of Bank of America what you have not put in. All right? So giving is how God has designed the system. So what you'll find most of the time when I'm meeting people is, how can I help you? What can I do? How can I serve you? Right? So what am I really doing? I am putting in the bank, the metaphorical bank of giving. You ain't giving, you ain't getting. This is really how it works. So here's the formula. Here's the real simple formula. Help me understand how I can help you help me. You get that? Right? So by helping you, I'm investing in the bank of giving, and it is impossible, because this is how God has designed the system, it is impossible to give and not get. It's just how it works, just how he set it up, which is brilliant. So those are the 7 biggest mistakes we make when networking that can ruin your reputation and destroy your business. Practice them. I hope you took some notes, and I'll meet you at the top.
Yep. Yes. Give it up. Give it up. I'm going to reiterate, I hope you took some notes. I also hope, my rule is whenever anybody mentions a book, because I'm a voracious reader as well, especially someone as accomplished and esteemed as you are, I buy and read the book. And of course, I mean, I would just talk about a couple of your books before we talk about the Legacy Project.
Read Success.
Because you should be reading, if you haven't read Success in Our Race, it is a true classic and a must read. And if you haven't read it, no harm, no foul, but now you know you need to read it. But what else?
I have a little follow-up book I wrote, this is about 6 years ago, called Click. 10 Truths for Building Extraordinary Relationships. Well, now, what does it mean? And I have some of these on sale before I leave out of here this afternoon. I think we'll be in the Excel Lounge.
Yeah, we'll be in the Excel Lounge.
Excel Lounge. We have something called Click. This, too, is a bestseller and a modern-day classic. I'm just trying to think where I want to go with this. There's so many ways, and I'm just trying to limit the time.
And please leave me a couple of minutes to talk about the Legacy.
So let me just give you an executive summary of Click. The concept, the algorithm, the equation in the book says you click when there's good chemistry, good fit, and good timing. When those 3 things are in perfect alignment, that's when things click. We could have good chemistry, good fit, bad timing. We won't click. We could have good timing, good chemistry, bad fit. We won't click. So the equation is in the book. C square, all right? C square, whenever you square a factor in an equation, that increases the value of that factor, times T, which is timing, times the square root of T, timing, equals W to the 3rd power. W to the 3rd power. Whenever, that means that you win, I win, and the people that we both serve win. It's a win, win, win. That's when things click. Okay?
Love it. So as I said earlier, and we're going to have a video guide to show you guys, because we don't have a lot of time left, but we do have a video we're going to queue up to show you this. But you know, whenever we talk, and you inspire me because we talk. You know, my goal is to be a robust 104, like not to limp across the finish line, but be there and like still kicking, you know, kicking butt. And one of the people I look to who are an example of that, a role model for me, is you, because it's like every time I talk to you, it's like, yeah, and I'm launching this, and I'm going to do that, and FraserNet is doing this, and now we have the Legacy Project. So again, I hope the video's queued up, but in 30 seconds, as the video is going to queue up, what is the Legacy Project, and why are you doing it?
There are 110 Black history museums in America. I've visited 80 of them. Born and raised in New York, I'm a museum nerd. I love museums. What I noticed in about the 80th visit of a Black History Museum is that there was very little in our museums about Black excellence in business. You see something about Madam C.J. Walker, you may see something about George Washington Carver, but the legacy of Black business excellence, in spite of the odds against us, has not been memorialized, has not been recognized, has not been celebrated. So the idea was, why don't we build a museum that focuses specifically on Black business excellence? We named it the Black Business Legacy Hall of Fame and Museum and Metaverse, because you got to put technology in there. Yes. So that was the seed of the idea 20 years ago. Wow. 20 years ago. I wrote the plan, had some drawings. The first person I went to, true story, was Mr. Earl Graves. I sent him the information. He said, man, this is outstanding, George. He said, but don't do it now. I said, why? He said, maybe you don't know, but we're all being lined up and we're all being asked, fraternities, sororities, corporate America, to make major contributions for a new museum that's going to be built on the Mall, which is the African American Museum of History and Culture. And he said, that's where the money is going to go. You won't be able to compete with that. That is number one on the priority. That request was made 100 years ago by Mary McLeod Bethune and Mary Terrell to, what's his name, Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover. So that's first up. So don't do it now. He said, lay it down for a minute, then come back after this is done. The best advice given.
Yes.
So 2 years ago, I brought it back out. By the way, the African American History Museum opened in 2016, exactly 100 years after the initial agreement from the President of the United States said, yes, we'll do it. It took 100 years to get it up. Right. So I don't think this will take 100 years, but it ain't going to happen tomorrow.
Well, let's run the video.
Right.
Let's run the video.
The battle for us for the 21st century must be on the battlefield of wealth creation. These things have resulted in a lack of clarity of purpose, brothers and sisters, a lack of goals and destination, a lack of criticism with the constructive flavor in our community, a lack of passion and anger, a lack of collective output and multiple leadership. That's what it has resulted in.
For over 250 years, we focused on our fight for freedom and spent the next 100 years fighting Jim Crow and for the promise of justice, equity, and inclusion. Now, it is time to inject Dr. King's final message of economic empowerment into our narrative. For the next 100 years, we must focus on economics to mitigate the enormous black and white wealth gap and the effects of economic apartheid. Despite the fact that there are 110 Black history museums in America, none exclusively focuses on our contribution to capitalism, entrepreneurship, and business. Over 20 years ago, one man, Dr. George C. Fraser, had a vision to create a business ecosystem that would acknowledge, celebrate, and incubate Black business excellence. Introducing the Black Business Legacy Hall of Fame Museum and Metaverse and Global Entrepreneurship Center. The 200,000 square foot multi-level museum and global center will be an iconic structure built in Atlanta, Georgia, showcasing historical legacy of African American entrepreneurship and innovation. The Black Business Legacy Hall of Fame Museum and Metaverse will leverage immersive technology to showcase multi-themed pavilions reflective of our past and present global Black entrepreneurs and innovators. Visitors will be enthralled by the Black Business Metaverse world, built to provide an immersive and fully interactive experience that opens up endless possibilities for entrepreneurs, business owners, and content creators. The Global Center for Advancement of Entrepreneurship will recognize, incubate, and accelerate Black entrepreneurship and provide a transformative learning experience where Black entrepreneurs can live, collaborate, focus, and innovate to develop an economic mindset and build sustainable wealth. Over time, the Black Business Hall of Fame and Museum will become a powerful new raison d'être, reason for being, for global communities worldwide, setting the standard for generations to come.
Wow.
Let me just say one quick thing.
Yes.
Entrepreneurship is critical in our culture. It is my hope that by the end of this century that we will become the #1 employer of our own people. Jews are the #1 employer of their own people. Asians are the #1 employer of their own people. East Indians are the #1 employer of their own people. We're moving in the right direction. We are now thinking more entrepreneurial. We're shifting from what we were taught when I was a kid, get a good education and get a good job. Nothing wrong with the job. But we need to switch that mantra to get a good education and create a job. Create a job for yourself, create a job for your children, and to create working jobs for our people. So this will be an aspirational goal, right? A museum, a place where our young people can go and see and celebrate the magnificent accomplishments of Black folk, male and female, for literally since slavery. Right? We were still opening businesses. That's one aspirational goal. The other aspirational goal, very, very important, that one day a historical Black college will give a degree in entrepreneurship. There are 350 white colleges in America where you can actually get degreed in entrepreneurship. So I'm lobbying 2 historically Black colleges, 1 Morgan State, to give a degree in entrepreneurship.
Yes. Okay, everybody. I want you to start lining up for questions. We got literally 8 minutes and 30 seconds for questions. I want to emphasize, the more questions we get in, the more answers we get.
I'll keep the answers
Please
short.
resist the African-American urge to do a Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech when you get a mic put in front of you.
That's right, a question. Right,
A
right.
question, please.
That's right.
And we want to get as many as possible. So, Mr. Graves, you have a question?
Yes, this is a request. I wanted to remind you to please, and I'm going to let the people ask the question in a moment, to please focus on, to spend a moment talking about the wealth gap that you and I talked about and the statistics you use in regards to how we do things, what have you. So I just wanted to remind you to do that because that is absolutely essential to what it is you're saying we're going to do in regards to entrepreneurship and building wealth in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Butch. There's a talk I give on the 5 biggest challenges Black people have for the next 100 years. The #1 challenge is the existential crisis of the Black family. The existential crisis of the Black family. Marriage in our culture is down to 34%. When we were growing up, it was 85%. It's now down to 34%. 71% of our sisters are not married, 29% will never get married, 63% of our brothers are not married, 30% of them will never get married. There is no culture in the history of humankind that has risen to maximize their full human potential without family at the center of their culture. This only exists. This is an interesting but negative statistic. This phenomenon of the existential crisis of our family only exists among African American black people. It does not exist on the continent or anywhere else in the diaspora, so there must be something in the water. We must fix this. It is a lot easier said than done because it is impacting our wealth. Quick statistics. For 350 years, household median income was dominated by white people. They were number one in this country. They no longer are number one, they're number three, and there's a reason for it. So, who has the highest household median wealth in America? It's East Indians, $104,000 a year. What's the marriage rate in the East Indian culture? 94%, two are working. Who's number two? Chinese Asians. Household median income, $110,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. Number three are white people. Household median income, $88,000 a year. What's the marriage rate? Almost 50%. Down significantly. Number four are Hispanics. Household median income, $61,000 a year. Marriage rate, close to 70%. We are at the bottom. Household median income, $55,000 a year. Marriage rate, 34%. And projected, based on facts and statistics, that if we do not fix this, because white folks ain't fixing this, our marriage rate will be in the low teens in the next 20 years. We must, this is an enormous challenge. That's a whole talk by itself on how do we fix it. It can be fixed, but we have to, first of all, understand that this is a problem. No one's talking about this problem. This is a huge problem. It's the number one problem in our culture. So we must fix it.
Wow.
Now, we will talk about this at the Power Networking Conference, which is next October, our 24th year. We want you to come, and you're not choosing between Black Enterprise and no. You need to be going to more than one conference. You do the BE stuff, which is awesome, and come to the Power Networking Conference. Well, we named it the Power Networking Experience. Yeah. Come. All right. So it's a long answer to the question, but it was a very, very important question. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Renald Terrell. I'm 26. I work on just giving the members of my community opportunities to just be self-sufficient. And the question I have for you is, in the face of where success is expected, with how many accolades you have, how have you dealt with failure and moved forward from there?
There's a talk that I give called The 7 Currencies of Life. The 7th currency is money. The 3rd currency is resilience. The ability to bounce back. I have failed my way to success, right? Failed my way to success. But wherever I fail, I got back up on the horse. So one of the key factors for succeeding at any level is to be resilient. You are human. You're going to screw some shit up. You're going to make mistakes, but you've got to bounce back. You must be resilient. In fact, if you look at the story of our lives, we are the most resilient culture on earth in spite of the crap that we went through. Look at where we are. We have made significant progress. We've come a long way, but we have much further to go. But we have been a resilient people. You must be resilient, right? Take it on the chin, try again. You take it on the chin again, try it again. This is what I was referring to about Kamala and that whooping she took. Try again. It's not over, as Les Brown would say, it's not over until you win.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. How many more questions that we are able to have?
How you doing, Ann?
That's the last one.
Dr. George, Andy Enriquez, $1 Million Storyteller. So
I know who you are.
Hey, I'll say this. It's one thing to bring the message. You are the message.
Ooh.
And so my question for you is, for those of us who think we're doing something, every time you're there, George, you're still outworking us. And so I just want to know, for those of us who are running our race, how do we run the race with endurance the way that you have to have the longevity? Because everybody can have that flash pan success, but how do we keep running the race the way that you have?
Beautiful.
Great question.
That's
Thank
a
you.
great question, man. Each of you have been put here with a unique purpose in life. God has given each of us a unique purpose in life. Your job is to identify what that purpose is and to live your life of purpose. Let me say that a different way. Do what you love with people that you love. Do what you love with people that you love. So when you're on purpose, when you're doing your assignment, when you're doing what God has sent you here to do, you will die empty. You will live longer. My purpose energizes me. So there are a lot of things I have to take into consideration to look like this and to feel like this at 80 years old. I have to take care of myself. So that's another one of the currencies, health. Take care of this magnificent brain and body. And you'll understand this deeply as you get older. But you will pay a price if you wait to try to do this when you get older. You start as young as possible. Take care of your health and find your purpose in life. You are here for a reason. Don't waste your time. When the Buddha was asked, what is the biggest mistake that humans make? The Buddha replied, the biggest mistake that humans make is to think they have time. I will tell anybody in a New York minute, do anything, but don't waste my time. I will get more money, but I will not get any more time. And I don't know how much time I have, but I'm not going to allow you to waste it. Time is a currency. Don't waste it. Find your purpose. And this will keep, and take care of yourself. And you will live to do whatever God has assigned you to do. Are there exceptions to the rule? Of course. That's my answer.
Thank you.
That is an entire word. Please give it up for Mr. George C. Fraser.